Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
All right. Hey, guys. Welcome back to our show. I'm your host, John Harcar, and I'm here today with Phil Tudor, a.k.a. Coach Phil. And we're going to talk to him today about not only his experience in business and in real estate, but we're also going to talk about his passion, which is virtual project management. Remember, guys, at Investor Fuel, we help real estate investors, service providers, really all real estate entrepreneurs 2 to 5x their business. And we do that by providing tools and resources to grow that business that they want, which in turn helps them live the lives that they want to live. Coach Phil, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you coming on. Excited to talk about this virtual project management. That's something that, having a virtual property, one left. I know kind of some of the ins and outs of, the pains of doing that virtually. This is a whole nother ball game. But before we talk about all that, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about you, kind of your experience in business, real estate, and kind of what got you to today?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. So I started back in 2017. At the time, I was a contractor doing renovations for an investor out of Ohio in New Jersey. That's where I'm home based. And, an education program came over the airwaves one day on a radio ad and, was like, hey, would you like to become a real estate investor? And, somebody brought it to my attention. I said, I'd love to learn my clients' needs that I was servicing at the time, this investor out of Ohio. So I said, let me go. And little did I know that would change the trajectory of my life, and I'd become a real estate investor myself. I signed up for that educational program, and just went ham with it. Really was just all in, trusted the process, trusted the people that were coaching me, and really implemented a lot of systems and efficiencies along the way. In the first 2 years, me and my partner at the time, we did 80 transactions, 40 flips, 40 rentals within 2 years. So we just were like, on fire, man, running full steam, and that's really where the beginning seeds of what you see today, virtual project management with me, began. And I had no idea that it's where I would be today years ago, which was through a lot of the systemization and stuff over time. We created a duplicatable process. That's what we were coached on. It's a duplicatable process. There's a lot of steps to this, but it is duplicatable, for a good amount of this task and the steps along the way for flipping a house. Or even just completing a renovation. So flash forward, I rebranded my company a few years ago. I am now Steadfast United Real Estate as my primary real estate investing company. I currently have 3 flips active, have anywhere between 5 to 6 at a time, doing all different types of investing strategies, rentals, flips, doing a house raise. Today I'll be meeting with contractors, so that's going to be a fun one for me there. Even looking at land development and subdivision. So I have a lot of construction background that really complemented me coming into this real estate investor space. And I was raised in construction, raised around construction, my father's company. And I didn't realize that I had a secret sauce that a lot of people are looking for. And that's what the crux and the foundation of virtual project management is, which is I bridge the gap between contractors and real estate investors. I speak their language. I know what
Right.
their needs and concerns are, and I know what the real estate investor needs and concerns are by being one myself.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
So that has created a very unique skill set for me that, honestly, I've taken for granted, and up until, a few years ago, it was brought to my attention, like, hey, you should try and offer this service to people nationwide, and I really gave some good hard thought to it, ran some test pilots on it, was very successful with it. So here we are now today, and I'm still actively flipping over 125 transactions completed to date since 2017, still actively doing
Nice.
it, like I said. And then now also helping people through my limited availability. I don't have a ton of clients because I have to
Right.
manage my stuff, my team, but so now, like I said, today actively still flipping homes, looking at investment strategies for my personal self and my family's future, as well as helping other people build their dreams and futures through their investment companies.
I love it. I love the story. You took one of my normal questions I like to ask folks are like, back in the day, what got you into real estate or construction or, in your case, your dad, your family.
Yeah. Yeah, it started very young. I mean, just I didn't realize. I mean, I was trying to get out of that construction world, to be quite frank. I wanted to be a pharmaceutical salesman was my first crack at life, and
Okay.
life, had it other ways for me, and I found myself back in construction in my early 30s. And I had learned so much over the years, and like I said, through a series of events, real estate investing is a lot to do with construction. If you're
Yeah,
actually
for
doing the
sure.
renovation. So, it just fit very well, and it's very seamless. And, real estate's just a great, powerful tool to achieving your personal goals and dreams. So it aligns very well for me.
100%.
Yeah.
You had a little bit more experience than others that kind of start getting into the business and flipping. I mean, you were in construction pretty much your whole life, it seems like. Uh, but what struggles did you have when you first started this business on your own?
It's a great question. I mean, a lot of people think, when they hear, oh, you grew up in construction, it's just streamlined and seamless transition. And it wasn't, because there's all different types of construction, and for me and my father, we focused on niche space construction, which was like kitchen and bathroom remodels. And I remember early on getting into this and literally pulling up to a flip house that my partner put in front of me. And I asked my dad, he's in the vehicle with me. I said, Dad, like, what do you think it's going to cost to do this? Do you think 50,000 can get this done? And we just said, well, we're going to have to find out, aren't we? Because it's a whole nother animal pricing these things
Yeah.
out. There's every element of construction can go into a flip if it needs it, from top down. So I really just put my best foot forward, and I failed forward, and I learned through my failures and my experiences and adjustments. And, I kind of like make a joke when I share about scopes of work, right? You build a scope of work for your construction project, and, I share them to my clientele, and I'll say, this is version like 103.5. It's
Right.
just every layer upon layer upon layer builds, but early on, the biggest thing, so for me, it was I actually had the laborers, so I was putting the employees on the flip as well. So
Okay.
for me, it was the management of the quality of work, honestly. I thought that was going to be the easy part, but it wasn't. So managing the quality control was very challenging, and it was really a shell shock to me early on. I thought if I paid
Hmm.
a guy well, he would perform well, but those old days, I guess, are over, and I had to learn that very quickly. So we, over the time, we're able to mitigate that issue, which was, by having structured payment schedules and me removing myself from being an owner of the construction company, honestly, and managing general contractors or managing subs through good
Right.
contracts and schedules.
Okay.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Okay. All right. Well, perfect.
So
that leads us in.
So today that's where I'm getting into like subdivision. I'm looking at a land development deal, building 8 single family homes on a lot. We did multifamilies early on too, as we began to stretch our legs with this. And like I said, now too, I'm raising a house on a river and putting a whole nother level on it. So yeah, I've always wanted to. It feels like it's almost like an itch that you can't satisfy. Of like, what's the next level to get to? And even this virtual project management for me is in that way a challenge for myself. And as an entrepreneur, deep down inside, I enjoy and invite the challenge because the reward, typically I've found that more risk, more reward is really the balance, and it's mitigating that risk is the challenge to be able to set yourself up for success. So even currently right now, managing $1 million flips down in Miami, Florida, a very high end market, something that in Southern New Jersey, I call it the armpit of New Jersey. Like that's not what we're flipping. We have some pockets like that, but that's not what I typically flip. I'm flipping starter for homes, just really easy, quick cosmetic flips where quality control or quality of work can be definitely lesser than a 7-figure home, there's through so many different angles. I've had different asset classes, as you put it, like have brought me up to different levels, so 100%. Yeah. I'm always interested in like, what's the next thing, even for me, I'm looking at tapping into the well again. We did some remote investing early on in my career in Northern New Jersey. We were Southern Jersey, went to Northern New Jersey, and now I'm even looking in like Abilene, Texas. I'm looking where is the job growth going to be happening in the nation due to new policy that's going on right now. So yeah, 100%. I think that just be willing and ready, is kind of like my motto. So it's not like I aspire to find the next big challenge, but if it comes across my plate, I'm ready and prepared on my team, then I'm going to take it on,
Well, yeah, being ready to pivot, you know what I mean? Be ready to change and go where it needs to go. So what kind of mistakes are you seeing people make when they're doing their project management on their own?
I think the biggest mistake is not enough diligence. Okay, so when I present virtual project management to potential clients, I like to quickly get to the conversation of pre-hire me before you need me. Because the worst thing that can happen is you come to me and say, Phil, I want to hire you. I like your services you told me 6 months ago. Here's a project. And then I get an unrealistic budget. And I didn't have any chance to help save you from that. I think that's the biggest issue that I see early on, is where I don't want to say inexperienced investors, but some investors that are lacking some skill sets or understanding the brevity or the seriousness of due diligence are not equipping themselves for what that project really needs. And then they're stuck with it. So it's this due diligence area where it's very, very vulnerable. And you have an option if you're very, on your game, in your proactive with it, that you can mitigate these risks through good inspections, good terms that you write in your contracts and stuff. So that's why I say, like, virtual project management, yes, the nuts and bolts, the meat of it is the actual project needing to be managed. But before that, you'd be very wise to invest me and my team for like 15 minutes to say, put our eyes on your numbers and a few pictures that you have to say, hey, you may or may not be missing something here, or green light or red light your deal for you to help you out and advise you in advance. So, definitely the consulting side on the front end. But I think that's the biggest issue that I see is that investors come to me and they think that the project's going to take X amount of dollars to do. And then I ultimately have to school them or educate them through some more due diligence of like, hey, you're actually going to be here. And now you're stuck with the project. You've got to see it through. So, that would be number one. Number 1B would be like contractor selection, really. Interviewing contractors, or what I call contractor onboarding, it's not included in this virtual project management. It's a prerequisite that the investor needs to bring. So like I'll evaluate your contractor bench for you and pick what I feel is the best contractor to do the current project that we teamed up on together with. beforehand, like interviewing contractors and just checking their work and really vetting them out, is something where I see a lot of investors um, lack on, not because they don't necessarily do it, because also too they don't maybe know the right questions to ask or things like that. So I
Right.
think
Makes sense.
that's 1A, 1B is your budgeting and your contractor selection are the biggest issues that I see going into these projects with clients.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
What is the best way for someone to vet a contractor?
Interviewing,
Okay.
interviews. So like if you're familiar at all with the corporate world, they will always do what's called a 3 interview process, right?
Right.
And a lot of times what we do is we're like, hey, we look at a contractor and we're one and done. We're like, yeah, I like it. Feels good, looks good. We'll do a project together. Or it's vice versa too, where it's like, hey, I got a project and now I need a contractor. I never pre-hired. So then now you're desperate to start and you're just hiring them right away. So the vetting process is really like, it feels like the cart before the horse, but you should be interviewing contractors to make sure they're a good fit for your business model, your core values of a company and as a business owner prior to even having a project. Because I have a 6-step proven system that I've implemented with contractor onboarding that a minimum should take you 6 weeks. It could take more than that. And this is a funnel that you're bringing contractors through, and you're running through 6 steps. It's really 5 steps, and the sixth, beneficial step is the cherry on the top, which is basically asking them to review your pricing, your construction numbers that you're placing bids on behalf of with as an investor. So it's accessing that data from the contractor ultimately. But the first 5 steps, it's 5 weeks, 5-6 week process of going through and interviewing them, checking on their resources, checking previous work, checking their licenses, all that stuff. And insurances,
Right.
and going through that process, and there's really a psychology behind it when you're vetting a contractor. Of if you read any good interview books, they all pretty much talk about the same common theme, which is every interviewee knows how to lie through an interview. So you got to figure out the lie, And so
Right,
like when you
right.
ask a contractor for a reference, they're going to give you the best reference. They're not going to give you their
Sure.
worst customer experience. So how do you then get to the nitty gritty of the real stuff with a contractor? So one of my biggest tips that I can give you and your audience is that when you're doing a contractor interview sheet, ask an open-ended question. One of my favorite open-ended questions is, can you recall a challenge you had on a project and how you handled it? It's not a yes or no question now. Now I get them
Right.
talking. I just sit back and listen, and listen and just let them reveal their character to you. And that's what your job is when you're interviewing to find a good contractor is, what is their character? Because I can guarantee you one thing in real estate, you will be challenged, and you'll most likely be challenged during the construction phase.
100%.
So when that challenge arises, how are you handling yourself and how is your contractor handling himself or their self? And that is a character thing. That's not an interview question. That's not, are you on budget on time question. No, that's,
Right.
hey, there's something I missed over here when I, see if I can give you an example. Like, I told you the sewer line was good in the preliminary bidding process, and now it's bad, and I'm trying to put a change order on you, or trying to
Right.
make an
Yeah.
excuse because my guy damaged it during construction and you didn't see it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So
No, that
this
I
is
get
where,
that.
to me, it's a moral situation. It's more of a character thing to find a good contractor than it is an interview question.
Yeah, that's very true. So let's talk about your virtual project management company. So you started this off because you found a need, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
What does your business look like now? Like, let's talk about your team first.
Yeah. So my team. So I have an assistant out of Minnesota. So he's virtual. So we have a very systemized approach to this. We love using technology to our advantage. Google Drive for data storage, emails, automation, and anything that can be automated. So for instance, we have forms to onboard clients where they can input all their data. It goes right into a system for us to review that. So if they have a project, we call it a pre-approved project. They'll let's say you're my client. You would hire me for a small retainer fee for a 6-month retainer. Then you get a deal that's ever accepted tentatively that comes in. Well, we have a project manager that's out of Minnesota. He manages those communication and data coming in, and we review those deals for you and give you our feedback as quick as possible. I also have a boots on the ground field project manager as well. That does my project management for my projects here locally in Southern New Jersey. So we also have him as a consultant too, because it's a lot of the time the consulting is about the nitty gritty in construction code or building materials or advising in those areas, because I'm always balancing like cost versus reward for clients and things like that. So my team is formed of me and 2 other project managers, one virtual and one on boots on the ground for me here in New Jersey.
Got it. Okay. Now, when you take on clients, is there like a specific level of rehab that you don't do a project management for, or how does that all work? Like, what are your qualifications, I guess, or what are things that people come to you that they need to have when they're reaching out?
So, first of all, it's free to have a consultation with me, because you're hitting the nail on the head. Like, I want to make sure we have a good working relationship. Okay.
Right.
To be quite frank with you, if an investor is going to come to me like they know everything, it's not going to work. And that's not saying that I know everything, but that's a clash of personality, because this is a done for by us business model, and there will be teamwork that's required. For instance, I can't see the project boots on the ground. I need somebody physically to go to the project at least once a week and take pictures and do inspections for when contractors are asking for money or whatnot. So there's a team play there, and I need accountability to be there. So there's a free consultation call for me to make sure we're a good fit, and I can tell pretty quickly early on, like if there's going to be tension or stress in the situation, So that's one of the aspects. Now you asked, like, is there ever like a too small a project? I haven't experienced it yet, but like, to me, it doesn't matter, because my fees are percentage based upon your construction budget as an investor. So it's relative. If you come to me with a $5,000 paint job you need to get managed for your rental and help you select a painting contractor, it's relative. Even though that may only pay me, a small amount of dollars for my percentage fee, it's just relative, because I'm not making as many phone calls or drafting up a million contracts.
True.
So
yeah, makes sense.
I don't think that there's, I would think that, there would be a ridiculous low line, that I would just advise you, like, hey, you can do this on your own. You don't need, you need to pay
I have
your
2
money.
walls that need to be painted. Can you project manage that?
Yeah, but then there's also, for me, there is a limitation to how many clients we take on, because I'm managing my own flips, and I take it seriously. I do one-on-one coaching as well. And I say the same thing, and I mean it from my heart, that like, if I'm going to take time away from my business and building my family's future, I'm going to make sure that we're a good fit and that I can give you the undivided attention that you require, because
100%.
These are like intense. We try to create an atmosphere of like time blocking per se. So we meet once with our clients once we get the project up and running. So I always say there's a ton of work in the beginning. Like 80% of your success is done in the beginning, pre-construction planning, scopes of work, interviewing contractors, talking to them, hashing out details, payment schedules, contracts. That's the majority of work. Because then the beauty is once you start it, you're pretty much on autopilot, because you've agreed upon a plan together with your contractor. So we do an intense amount of work up front, which is not just like once a week. Like, this is like times of the essence. You're closing in 30, 45 days. We need to be prepared to swing the hammer on the 31st or the 46th day, like the day after closing. That's the goal.
Right.
Intense amount of work in the beginning, but then it streamlines to once a week, So we really try to, make a regimented approach to this, so that allows me to handle clients too, a decent amount,
True.
Where I'm not busting at the seams and you can't get a hold of Phil. Like, I got to make sure I'm balancing behind investments in my team.
You want to provide the best service.
So there is a limitation to how many clients we can take. Right now, currently, I put a cap at 15 at a time. But that also would be depending on the level of the project. For instance, down in Miami, we're doing one that's a whole new construction, scrape and build. That in itself is easier in a way, because it's all architectural plans and stuff, but it's also an intense amount of details.
Yeah.
That you can figure it out.
100%.
So depending on the size of the project determines how many clients we take on, but yeah.
Got it. Well, cool, man. If folks want to get in touch with you, they want to maybe learn about your coaching program a little bit more, or just kind of, do that free consultation. How do they get in touch with you? It's the best way.
Yeah, so we have for virtual project management, it's vpm.sjrein.com. The SJREIN stands for South Jersey Real Estate Investor Network. So you can always even look me up that way. We have a Facebook group for South Jersey Real Estate Investor Network. But the website for the VPM again is vpm.sjrein.com. And then from there, you can just get in touch with me that way. And then we can always branch out to other avenues if you wanted to for one-on-one coaching, and things like that. I'm also on Facebook. If you look up Coach Phil and Sherry Tudor, that's my wife, Sherry with an I. We do business together and we build our dreams together. So Coach Phil and Sherry Tudor. You can look me up on Facebook and get in touch with me that way as well. So, yeah.
How come Sherry didn't jump on this podcast with us, man?
She's actually working a little right now, too. She has another job, so, yeah.
Oh, okay, got it. Right on. Well, cool, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on here and sharing all this knowledge, man. That's some great information. I love your business. Guys, I hope you took some good notes and got some good information. We'll put all his contact information down in the show notes so you guys can get in touch with him. Phil, thank you again, man. Guys, we'll see you on the next show. Cheers.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.